Before I get started, I would like to really thank the OSI today and specifically Neeraj and this advisory committee of OSI. Without them, I'll not be able to share my tool. And obviously Unisys and other open source platforms like GitHub, where I host my repository as well as the site, and JS.org for the JS.org domain. Apart from that, the library what I'm going to talk about is foundation was jQuery, handlebars, and Lodash. So, and of course, I would like to thank you all for joining the session today. As mentioned that my day job is as a consulting engineer, primary role is chief architect for the front-end engineering center of excellence at Unisys. Today I'm here, as he mentioned, that on my personal capacity as the author of SPA.js. So the statements what I make here is mine alone and not necessarily reflecting anything from Unisys. So quick intro about SPA.js. Right? SPA.js really means for single page application just simplified, but in fact is written in JavaScript. Okay, it's not written in TypeScript or anything. It's meant to create a cross-platform application where you can create a web application, the same code can put it on for developing desktop applications. If you bundle it with Electron, you will get your desktop app. If you put it under Cordova stack, you get your iOS or Android app. So you can do that. We have done many applications using the same code base developed using SPA and deployed as desktop applications and mobile applications as well. The primary reason for this is keep it simple and do not repeat yourself. Also, the important principle is called Yagini, right? How many of you know what is Yagini? Okay, you are not going to need it, right? You develop something which is really need for you. You don't need to really, develop which is not going to be used or on your product or for the future. But having said that, then why open source? Definitely because they build something that you may need it. You may need it. 100 contributors, everybody thinks that you may need it, right? So the 100 modules are there, sitting there, thinking that someone is needed, right? But over the period, you will end up in a big giant. But many of the the modules might not be useful at all. So having said that, I wanted to quickly get into. You may think, why SPA.js and why not at least this? How many of you working on React, Angular, or Vue? Okay, great. Okay. So you may be wondering, hey, I'm good with React, I'm good with Angular, or I'm good with Vue.js, the recent kid in the industry, right? Maybe I'm going to ask you one more check. How many of you know about these frameworks, right? Knockout, Amber, Backbone. Anybody worked on it? Very few, right? So before React, Angular, Vue, these were there in the market before. It's not that React is React, Angular, Vue is a very old or a game changer or anything. We had this kind of concepts of building a single page application using these frameworks. So I'm going to talk about what are the problems, why we have React and why we have Angular, why we have a Vue. Because every developers, when they thought about using some of the framework, definitely they would have used Knockout, definitely they would have used Amber, or at least they would have looked at it, what is this? It's not solving their problem. The way in which they wanted to do it, it's not helping. Okay, I'll tell you my analogy of why this framework came into the existence. How many of us are here full stack developer? They claim to be a full stack developer. Okay. The interesting fact is, in the past, I've been in the industry for 25 years. I started my career with writing basic Fortran, COBOL, Pascal, C, C++, Java, .NET, JSP, ASP, and kind of a thing. Finally settled in front-end stack with JavaScript, right? So in the past, we had back-end developer front-end designer. There is no front-end developer. We had front-end designer, back-end developer. So the developers are kind of back-end engineer who knows C, C++, Java, object-oriented programming. So they know that kind of skill called development, right? The front-end guys are pure designers. As long as they know design, and there's no program. HTML doesn't have a programming aspect. Just a tags, the way you organize, you get your page. So that's what HTML was. But they introduced a little bit of micro interactions. So they introduced a very lightweight JavaScript. So don't take that JavaScript as a big giant like a Java or .NET or any programming thing. So put a front-end designer into the programming. They said, no, I don't understand this object, polymorphism, inheritance. No, I cannot do this, right? But we need to, balance it out. So we need to bring the back-end developer into the front-end. So how do we do that? They don't understand the design. As long as their text comes on the browser, it's fine. They don't worry about the color. They don't worry about the pixel. They don't worry about alignment also. I got my API. It's working, man. Fine, go ahead, right? But we need to have a bridge, the marriage properly done. So recently we got another term called full stack developer. But honestly, no one knows at least one stack fully by the full stack developer. That's what I understood, right? But everybody claims that full stack developer. What is a full stack developer? You need to know HTML, you need to know CSS, you need to know JavaScript, you need to know the API layer, you need to know the backend, whether it be a Java, .NET, or even the database, right? But I have not seen a full stack developer knows fully, at least one stack fully on this whole stack. Anyway, that's a current problem we are into. So let's move fast. Okay, so this is a funny part. A few years back, I read this, right? The people who are in the industry for quite a long time, like me or my friend, we did a programming in basic or Fortran, whatever it is. The web was initially a CGI Perl, right? So you dump your HTML and Perl scripting, Java, everything is in one particular file, Perl. But it was a nightmare to manage it. Then people developed using Java. Even Java servlet was a painful. We used to write entire HTML with a single double quotes. If you give it to the HTML guy, he'll pull his hair, forget it, I'm not going to touch this, right? So they wanted to have a separation. Okay, the MVC framework, right? We have to have a JSP. Hey, not to worry, it's HTML, but we'll introduce a little bit of Java into it with ankle bracket, all that. But people went crazy. They put a lot of Java into JSP, and we'll hardly see a HTML within that, right? So how much ever you tried to separate it, people wanted to merge and make a busy bella bath out of it. Hope you guys understand what is busy bella bath. Bangaloreans love busy bella bath. Or maybe Bangalore being tech center, everybody wants to make busy bella bath in the coding as well. Okay, so I was wondering what is going on now. I was as I said, I was senior solution architect on Java enterprise area. So we need to write separated, servlet, JSPs, and even the CSS, rightly done. But the world is going south now, right? So another interesting thing is the first law of quality is supposed to be E equal to MC squared. The more amount of code you write, you will be definitely in a mess, right? But today we think that we write extremely less code. Take an Angular or React. The seed project we download with one package JSON, maybe one or two index.html. But can I start my project? No. You have to type npm install. You sit and watch the npm install. I doubt whether with my this data card, if I start it, I'll start my project before I end the session. It downloads close 150 or 120 MB of code which downloads even for me to demonstrate hello world. We think that we are writing a less code, but unfortunately we are not. You may not write, but it's written by someone else. So we need to reduce the code. So this particular impact, no one else can explain better than this guy. Hope we'll listen to this guy for a minute, then we'll get on to what I'm talking about.
Okay. The way you get programmer productivity is not by increasing the lines of code per programmer per day. That doesn't work. The way you get programmer productivity is by eliminating lines of code you have to write. Right? The line of code that's the fastest to write, that never breaks, that doesn't need maintenance, is the line you never had to write. Right?
Right.
So what the goal here is to eliminate 80% of the code that you have to write for your app. That's the goal. It's not to, and so along the way, if we can provide WYSI this and WYSI that and visual this and visual that, well, that's fine. But the high order bit is to eliminate 80% of the code. When you drag a line in Interface Builder, you're eliminating code of one form. But I've seen a lot of visual but that only goes so far. Maybe we can go further. I've seen a lot of demos of things that try to take it all the way back into the algorithmic part of the code base, and none of them have ever been any good.
So this was close to 22 years back, 1997, 2 years after I started my really software career. I didn't see that time, but I had a way of writing code. But I'm not seeing that way, right? Even I'm very passionate, clean code drive on a software quality. So I want to write less code. Not only me, even my peers or whoever is writing want to write a less code. So we do a constant code reviews. How many of honestly do a code review here? It's looking at, you said the front end is working fine. You tested this and that. It's okay. Push the code. Or hey, you are writing same 4 lines of code again and again. Why don't you write it as a function? Or instead of function, even put it in a library. That the drive has to go. But what happens on a deadline? Kumar, I have to deliver it today. 5 o'clock, I need to commit, my sprint is ending, otherwise my story will go to the next sprint, which I don't want. Can you push it? No. So how many of us, just push, right? But this is what will happen. So having looked at it, it's okay. So the website is called spa.js.org. I highly recommend you to have a look at it, and definitely you give it a try. You will love it. Okay. So this has all you need to get started. Also, it is a pure MVC framework. Even if you try to go and mess around this, like creating a busy bella path, it will not allow you to do. So that's funda here, right? It has a clear view area. It's a pure HTML. You can keep it, and the pure controller where you can keep a JavaScript, and the data is completely API driven layer. Okay, so 3 layers, you cannot mess around this. So with that, it has a section. Okay, another important thing is we know that we are working on React, Angular, Vue. It's a fantastic open source. The reason is we don't really need to think about it. We learn for 1-2 hours in YouTube. I can say I know Angular. Why? Because I can start my project. Because starting my project, all I have to do is Google my code or my query. It will land on Stack Overflow. I'll get the code. I'll copy paste and move on, right? But it's not that you really need to understand so much about Angular. You cannot, because every 3 weeks or 4 weeks you will get a new version, new features. How much you can learn? So we cannot understand the framework. We need to try to ask something in Stack Overflow, copy paste the code and move on, right? So here, unfortunately, you don't get a lot of Stack Overflow. You don't search for, hey, how do I do it in Spa.js? No, you won't get anything. You don't really need to. How many of us really gone to Angular website to understand, to solve our problem? We directly Google it and it goes to Stack Overflow, right? So we don't go to the Angular website or even JavaScript, MDN site. But that's the real world. But here in Spa.js, anything you need, everything is right here. You can learn in a step-by-step way. You don't need to go to YouTube and put your watch list. Here it is designed such a way that you can start with get started, understand everything on the page, you experiment and click on next, you can complete the whole Spa.js. After that, you don't really need to do it, you can start your project. I'm going to demonstrate very quickly. I'm not going to do the to-do list program, because most of the framework starts with expecting everyone to fall in love with a simple one to do. But in the real world, start a project. We don't do to-do project in our in our corporate world. So we do really a web application. The 3 lines of code with the to-do, it seems to be fine. But when you put it in an enterprise application like 100 components when I write, that code becomes messy. We have nowhere to go back, right? So this is overcome that particular problem, the real understanding or the real software company's problem as well as the developer problems. Okay, this is a quick framework. So in case if you have any doubts, right? So I feel, please feel free to, reach out to this form and reach out to me. I can help you out. Even I can conduct a, free workshop, okay? Honestly, a free workshop at your premises, or, if you really want any webinar, I can handle it. Okay. So with that, I think I have a 20 minutes I should have. No, 15? 10 minutes? Okay, so let's try to, do a quick demo of the code. So this is a SPA website, and interestingly, I have a extension plugin for VS Code so that you can speed up. And people got used to this CLI quite a lot, even to create a simple component. You cannot create a component without a CLI, the current world. The component is nothing but a simple HTML and small JavaScript and CSS supposed to be. But unfortunately, we cannot do that. But I'll demonstrate how we can develop application even without a CLI. So without any further thing, assuming that I want to create a small project, let's create a folder called OSI Rapid SPA. That's my app root. I have nothing in it. Let me open with VS Code, our favorite, truly good, wonderful editor, thanks to Microsoft. And the only one page is supposed to be index.html, right? So let me create this index.html. So in order to get the code quicker, I can use the emmet shortcut. I can get my HTML right here. Okay. So see, I'm not. You look at it left side. I don't have any other extra 100 MB content coming in. I'm starting this project. So I can start with this. But in case if you want to start even with the Bootstrap bundle, there's a shortcut for this. Quickly, let me demonstrate. If you say SPA, or if you say SPA Bootstrap, you will get the Bootstrap CDN bundles immediately. So I'm going to start with a simple HTML template. Okay. So all we want to do is in a single page application, I don't want to dump all the code in one single page right here, but I wanted to keep it as a small component. So for example, as on today, without iframe, we cannot inject any other code without JavaScript. But we cannot use iframe, because if on iframe, I have to load HTML to HTML content, full-fledged code only we can include. But how about if at all I come up with a simple component where I can insert maybe a footer.html, right? Can I do this? But today we cannot do this. In HTML5, we are not there. But in order to do this, if what all you have to do is include a SPA.js. Let me go to the SPA.js website and get started. Okay, so all you need to do is download this 3 simple CDN. You can copy it locally for a faster thing, or you can use a CDN. So here the dependency are simple jQuery and handlebar and SPA bundle. jQuery anyway, it will be a hard dependency for your Bootstrap. How many of you use Bootstrap? Oh, yeah, all of you using SPA. So jQuery is your default. No, don't worry about it. People may cry, I don't want jQuery. jQuery is, there are some communities working on. You don't need jQuery group is going on, okay? But we need to have it, whether you like it or not, or you can write yourself, simple thing. Whatever it is, okay, we have a jQuery right now. So I'm going to use this in my code. I copied the CDN. Hope my network is good today. And so I got my the required bundle. So now with that, I should be able to create one simple footer.html. Okay, so let me say footer with a class fixed bottom. Okay, so here let me create simple copyright at copy symbol 2019 for OSI. Okay, so we have Okay, so magic happens now. Okay, so I'm going to quickly check whether it's working or not. All you have to do is right click and open with live server. I have a live server. Magic is happening. It's done, right? You don't need to have iframe, but you have a very simple piece of code. You have it. But the moment if I do this, what people will do? People will make a little mess of it. They'll try to input a CSS right here, right? Like style, and they will try to style this fixed bottom. For example, if I want to have a fixed bottom with some colors and all this, right? Your code can be like this, and you can make a mess out of it. On top of it, we can write a script also, right? I can put a write, and I can say CLG inside footer, right? So assuming that if you write a web component like this, we are going back to this old world, right? Busy Ballabad. We don't want that. We have to be clear. So how can I make it very simple and organized? So that's where the Spa.js is coming, and we can reduce the code. So all you have to do is create a folder called app, and we can have a folder for all our styles, right? And create one file called style.js, CSS, and move the stuff done. And so where do I keep my scripts, right? Okay, since I moved this, better let me include that link CSS to app/style/styles. Okay, now I have the same things done. But I need to have this scripting supposed to be outside. I don't want to make a mess of my component with a script. So I can create a footer.js. That's a reasonably right one. But if at all you go and create for every component 2 file just outside the index.html folder, you are creating a mess. So let us be organized. So for that, Spa.js recommends create all your components inside a folder called components under the app, and create a footer folder, and move your footer.html inside, and create one simple footer.js. Now dump your script into footer.js, right? So because you are organized yourself and you are following a simple structure, you don't need to use this footer.html, the path, nothing. You simply say, hey, load my footer component. You're done. As simple as that. So you can go on build your components as Spark components in a components folder. For example, assuming that I want a header, okay? So very simple, all you have to do is create header component and create these 2 files. One is header.js and header.html. Done. Now I need to get the HTML done. Where do I go? So that's where I have a small quick thing where I can go to Bootstrap, and I like components. Hope I have a nav bar. And let me choose this particular nav bar which I'm happy with, right? I copied this. So in order to do this, I need to have a Bootstrap to be included in my project, but for right now, I have this. So in index.html, I need to have a Bootstrap styles. So let me get started with Bootstrap CSS. And the JavaScript dependency for Bootstrap can be included, where I don't need jQuery, because we have included jQuery already. Done. So now we have a header component, and we have HTML for it. Now I didn't include it in my index.html. So I'm going to do that. As simple as that. I can say spa component header. Boom. So if at all we go back and see, okay, so here it is. So header.js having some code, you cannot have header, yeah. So you get your component loaded write into your HTML, just keeping it your HTML and JavaScript separately, and just include one after another. So it will naturally force you not to allow in HTML JavaScript in this. So you have to keep it separately. So this is a very quick introduction. I'm running out of time, and please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be around here for today and tomorrow, and even otherwise use a online form, and we can get connected and we can get going. So this is a very quick intro to Spa.js. Any questions? He said no. We'll give some 5 minutes. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, it has. You don't need to write a lot of code for API. Okay, now let me quickly take you through Spa.js site. So basically, you need the API layer, right? The API is dynamically coming, and it has to be bind with your stuff. But that's what we are using a handlebar template. So you give a request to the API, and automatically it makes all the calls, whether the get, post, put, whatever it is. You don't need to write Ajax call. It takes care of it. So that model comes into your template. So use handlebar template syntax, you can bind it. Okay. So there is a YouTube video you can watch whatever is I'm talking about. In YouTube, I made a very simple, quick 4 minutes video, not the hour-long videos. A 4 minutes video to build your app. With that, you can. There is not much of audio in it. Initially, I could not record audio, so I put a very basic videos. You can understand this, right? So you go through that, and it has all your queries are addressed on the. Sure.
Can we integrate Redux with this for managing states?
No, you can manage the state without those over-engineered tool. Okay. So here, let me be very clear. So the reason why I created this is that the pain of me going through 600 people are trying to put breaking the Yagni principle, right? So my application needed certain the very basic or necessary stuff. It is done in a certain form, in the simplest form. So if you are really got immersed with that thing, don't transform yourself, but give it a try. This is another way to do it. Experiment it, and then if it fits for you, just go ahead. So don't try to merge. Can I say Redux put it in Angular, or can I put a Vue.js in Angular because I'm Angular? No, let us not do that, because Vue is created with for purpose. So you try to understand what Vue is doing, whether it is helping you to solve the problem, then you stick with the Vue. What is not there, try to build for you Vue, then you can get it done. Even for the React, for that matter. What is good in Angular, if React doesn't have it, try to contribute it. Otherwise, stick with that. So can I put a React within Angular or Angular within a React, and don't confuse the future generation. Right now, the generation doesn't even know proper typing. They want to do it in like a WhatsApp way of coding. So don't create a mess. That's my personal feeling.